New markets news. Asian markets traded higher on Monday with Japan's Nikkei 225 index rising nearly 2%. This as investors anticipated a week of central bank policy announcements across that region. 3 central banks in Asia Pacific are set to release their interest rate decisions this week. This is the Bank of Korea, the Bank of New Zealand and the Reserve Bank of India. Chinese investors will be looking for more policy direction from China's top economic planning body on Tuesday when mainland markets return from a week-long holiday. Before the week-long holiday, authorities unveiled a flurry of stimulus policies, including interest rate cuts, lower cash reserve requirements at banks, looser property purchase rules, and liquidity support for stock markets. This saw Chinese major indexes have surged over 25% as investors cheer on the barrage of stimulus measures. U.S. equities ended the week on a positive note, buoyed by a surprisingly strong jobs report on Friday. This as investors put aside concerns over escalating tensions in the Middle East. The S&P 500 rose by 0.90%. The Nasdaq added 1.2%, and the Dow Jones set a record gaining 341 points. Locally, the JSE is mixed in trade. The all-share index has added 0.2% at 86,561. The industrial 25 index is up 0.5%. Financials have added 0.4%, and the top 10 resources index is at 0.4% lower. And the precious metals and mining index both down 0.5%. And the rand currently at 17 rand 41 to the dollar, 22 rand 82 to the pound, and 19 rand 9 to the euro. Gold is currently trading at $2,649, platinum at $977 per ounce, and the price of Brent crude oil is at $78.47 a barrel. Our market watcher for today is Patrice Rousseau from Ashburton Investments. Patrice, thank you so much for joining us on Point. That China stimulus that the market, that side of the region is quite excited about. Tell us about how that would impact the rest of the world, particularly us here in South Africa.
Good afternoon to you and to the SABC viewers. Yes, quite an exciting story from China, who have been lingering, really suffering from the effects of quite a harsh lockdown. And as you already mentioned, a slew of measures unveiled by the government to help the ailing property sector, allowing refinancing of homes, meaning that interest rates are about to be slashed, and encouraging lending across the board to property developers. So that is positive for South Africa in the sense of China accounts for anywhere between 60 to 80% of demand for most commodities. And it's one of our main markets for the exports of especially industrial commodities. So that bodes well for commodity prices going forward and for commodity demand, and that should help our mining companies in terms of our own exports. So that's a positive story from us. And as you've already mentioned, the Chinese indices have done extremely well. 25% in the first week of the announcement, 30% in 2 weeks, really masking a story that emerging markets have actually been down over the same period. So a lot of optimism really driving that sentiment as the government aims to really support and kickstart the economy in China.
The gold price has gone up nearly 2%, not with the gold, but rather the Brent crude oil price has gone up nearly 2%. Do we have reason to worry, especially in light of what's happening in the Middle East, and today it being, the 1-year anniversary of what happened in Israel? What do you read of the oil situation? Is there cause for concern there?
Yeah, very good question. It is a concern. We had the oil price, which we're trading around about April at $90 a barrel, drop all the way down to below 70. And with the more recent escalation of the conflict, especially with Israel striking Lebanon, we've seen the oil price rebound quite sharply from under 70 to trade close to $80 a barrel. And it is a concern because oil is like a tax on consumer spending. It's what most people use in terms of transportation, so that will feed through in terms of fuel prices, but the secondary effect also as an input, as energy inputs into production costs. I think this is also inflationary, not only here in South Africa, in the rest of the world. So that's definitely a concern. And if the oil price keeps going up above the $80 a barrel, I think the concern is that the deflationary impact that we benefited from, not only at the pump in South Africa, but elsewhere in the world, will start to diminish and disappear.
Yeah. Let's come back closer to home. There's that COSATU strike currently happening, striking against low economic growth and job losses. And I just want to weave that in with the fact that on Friday we saw the Competition Commission talking about that they're not happy with the rate at which food prices are coming down, even though there has been some positives in certain aspects. How would you characterize what's happening in the labor market and also the cost of living and what COSATU is marching for today?
Yeah, very good question. It's very unfortunate, but the very basic consumer basket, what we all spend our money on, which is almost unavoidable, has gone up quite a bit over the past year or so. So I think in terms of the Competition Commission report you talk about, there's a concern that after the huge spike in food prices, we're not seeing prices declining. So we're seeing producer costs for food prices declining, but that's not feeding through in terms of the consumer basket, whether it's price of eggs, whether it's price of chicken and the like, that's not coming down. Plus you add to that administered prices. Electricity prices gone up to 12%, water 7%, and even medical aids are putting anywhere from 7 to 12% increases for the next year. So this is going to put pressure on all of us in terms of where our disposable income is used. And for those who had obviously debt, that also wasn't helped by the high level of interest rates, which luckily now we've seen the first rate cut coming. So it's a crisis, but at the same time, costs of production across the economy have risen. So a lot of companies that we've seen have retrenched workers, whether it's Pick and Pay, the Post Office, Sibanye Stillwater, or Seriti have put workers on notice because they are struggling to make profits in this environment. Yeah.
Patrice, thank you so much. That's all we have time for. I've been speaking to Patrice Rousseau from Ashburton Investments. He's been our market commentator for today. We're going to take another short break. When we come back, I'll have more news for you.